T20 test on one day. India, England, Australia. For a lucky big three-side slayer. What a player. What a player. What a player. Discussing zinger bells and white balls to hells. Baggy greens for all from New South Wales. Is the RPL heaven or hell? Will the 100 fail or do quite well? What a player! What a player! What a player!
Hello and welcome to Waadaplaya, this Sala Cup Kiska series where we'll review match 17 of IPL 2021 played between Mumbai Indians and Punjab Kings in Chennai. Last time these two teams met, we had a brilliant game, a double super over. Not quite a close game this time around with Punjab winning by 9 wickets. Joining me, Sanjay, I have resident experts Akash and Vishak with me. Boys, welcome to the show.
Hi Sanjay.
Akash, starting with you, we all expected Mumbai to have a relatively easy game, but I think they cannot wait to get out of Chennai.
I think they're waiting to get out of Chennai. This is not the kind of pitch where they, pride their game on. It's a very slow track, and the hitters could not actually find this pitch pretty useful for them. But you got to blame their top order today. Power play, you score just 21 runs. Ultimately, that was the difference. The way Rahul and Mayank started and the way Rohit and the other guys started for Mumbai. Those 6 overs of power play actually ruined the game for Mumbai completely. Otherwise, there's nothing much to differentiate.
Yeah, it looked like they lacked intent, Vishak. They seem to have this mentality that we're only going to try and get 130, 140, hoping that in the end our big hitters will get 20, 30 quick runs. But seems like they need more intent at the top.
Yes, the last 2 games it was good. I think they had that intent, but they lost steam in the middle overs. But this game they lost it, as Akash mentioned, they lost it in the first 6 overs. If you score 20 runs or 21 runs in the first 6 overs, you don't expect to score big in this kind of slow pitches. And again, I think Rohit and Surya batted pretty well. I was pretty disappointed with Surya Kumar Yadav's dismissal. Had they both little bit carried on, I think they would have reached around 150 or 155, which would have been little handy on this pitch. They both looked good, but again, I was surprised with Ishan Kishan coming at 3. And if you are sending a batsman in the power play, like when Surya Kumar Yadav has been your designated number 3 and you're sending someone else, it means that you're sending it with an intent of going after the bowlers in the power play and not to just defend and waste the balls there. So I was pretty surprised, and he did not serve the purpose of what he was sent for.
Yeah, Akash, a bit surprising when Surya Kumar Yadav, he gets these 20s and 30s, looks in brilliant form irrespective of the pitch, but then throws his wicket away. How come Ishan Kishan is going ahead of him, wasting he got 6 of 17 balls?
Yeah, firstly, disappointing to see Surya fail regularly like this. I would call this a failure, even if it is a good 30 on this particular pitch. I would call this a failure because he's getting off to starts and he's not converting them. I don't know. I think in his mind he's playing too many shots. Ideally, his cover region and his straight down the region is the best where he goes after the bowling. But now all of a sudden he started playing all around the park. That is, I think something has got into his head that he can play all around the park at any time of the game. So he's got to get that out of the mind, start playing freely in the V, and then he'll get back into the form. Now coming back to Ishan Kishan, was out of sorts. Probably they wanted to give him more game time. But if that was the plan, then Rohit Sharma should have attacked Deepak Hooda and Enriquez. A left-hander gets out, another left-hander comes in. Obviously, Rahul would go and bowl one more over of Deepak Hooda. That's where Rohit Sharma should have taken the initiative. Even though he played a good innings of 63, I think his lack of initiative at the beginning hurt Mumbai a lot, especially with Ishan Kishan not being in top form. You'd have let the boy play down a bit, and then he could have attacked and released the pressure off him. But the plan didn't work out there. Rather, they would have sent Surya Kumar Yadav, who likes attacking spinners. He would have gone after the bowling and probably got a better score in the power play rather than sending out Ishan Kishan.
Yeah, a lot of these games seem to get decided in the power play, how you go about it. With such a low-scoring encounter, 20-odd runs in the power play is just not good enough. I'm just going to quickly read what Rohit Sharma said, Vishak. He said, not enough runs. I still feel it is not a bad wicket to bat on. You saw how Punjab batted and won the game with 9 wickets in hand. It's just the application which is missing. If you get 150, 160, then you're always in the game. That is something we failed to do in the last 2 games. I agree with him, but yeah, unless you show intent, I don't know where you're getting those runs from, Vishal.
Exactly. As they did not show intent in the power play, as we already spoke about, right? And later on, your middle order is struggling, and the pitch is going to get worse. Like the one thing with Punjab had an advantage is there was a little bit of dew, and when the ball gets wet with the dew, right, it comes onto the bat a little more and it does not turn. So, and one thing Punjab did pretty well was they attacked in the power play, which Mumbai did not do, and they did bulk of the job in the power play itself by scoring around 48 or 50 runs. So that's even if they slowed down in those middle overs, right? They had that advantage, and then they had Universe Boss and KL Rahul who were well set, who could finish the game in 17 overs. The power play, as Akash mentioned, was the crucial factor, and Mumbai lacked intent over there. One more thing I want to highlight is this is one major factor which Mumbai will be worried about. Last season, if you watch, right, they were getting early wickets with the new ball, which they are not getting this season. So Boult is not giving the Boult and Bumrah, whoever is bowling with the new ball, they are not getting those wickets. They're not picking up any wickets in the first 6 overs. I think in only one match they got 1 wicket. Other than that, the rest of the 4 matches they have not got any wickets in the power play. That will be one thing they'll be worried about.
Also, bowling Krunal Pandya up front doesn't necessarily guarantee you any wickets. He's more of a containing bowler. So I was a bit surprised with that tactics. But coming to KL Rahul, I was a bit surprised. He went ahead with Deepak Hooda and Moses Enriquez, who are, in best of cases, part-time bowlers. But Mumbai did not attack them, whether it was good bowling, bad pitch, whatever you want to call it, Akash. It did seem to work out well for Punjab.
It actually did, because he kind of took a gamble in there. He knew that these Mumbai batsmen like the ball coming onto the bat. They like the pace on the bat. That's why he held back Shami instead of giving him the opening bowling. Enriquez and Huda both kind of bowl slowly, and the ball gets stuck on the pitch and comes very slowly onto the bat. And Mumbai batsmen were actually not able to play freely. But with a class of batsmen like how Rohit Sharma is, he's got to take the initiative, come on to the front foot, do something differently. I think there's where they lost it. Even had they taken over at least one of those bowlers for 1 hour at least, his plans would have changed. KL Rahul would have to change his plans. That didn't happen. They let them bowl 5 overs rather than they bowling well at them. Of course, they were on to the stumps all the time, but these guys let them bowl 5 overs at them.
Quickly reading on what Mayank is saying. Mayank Agarwal likes to get 2 points on the board. We paced our innings. The way we paced our innings was nice. The discussion was to play good cricketing strokes and keep looking to go straight. I mean, obviously having a low score to chase does kind of help, but they kick-started really well, and KL Rahul and Universe Boss for doing the job. A couple of comments I want to take is for Mumbai Indians, Pollard and the Pandya brothers, they all seem to be underperforming, albeit Vishak, these are pitches which are not suited to their style of play. But is there any potential changes you think they may look out for going forward?
I think Pollard and Hardik Pandya are your match winners anyway. But if one change they can do would be like drop Krunal Pandya and get their evergreen fielder, like you can get him in. He can also do the same job. So that could be one change they can look at. That could be one change they could look at. And Deacock is also not performing. Maybe they can get an all-rounder in place of him, like Jimmy Neesham, who can also give that extra bit of bowling option because Hardik Pandya is not bowling. And get Ishan Kishan to open so that Ishan Kishan can actually play a little bit freely than the power play. And I think it will be a blessing in disguise for them because they're moving out of Chennai now. They will get much better pitches. Delhi will not. I know they are moving to Delhi, which is again will be slower, but it will not be as worse as Chennai. At least they will enjoy a little bit over there. And after that, they are playing in 2 belters, Kolkata and Bangalore. So they'll definitely enjoy them, but Delhi should be far better than what it is for Mumbai.
Yeah, one of our friends have highlighted that the next 5 games in Delhi, which is also a slow wicket, but I can't see the wickets getting any slower or lower than what it is in Chennai. Akash?
Yeah, Chennai is basically a very crumbly wicket. If you have seen, they have been continuously playing in Chennai. They had a couple of test matches also against England. it's been a very crumbly wicket. So, and it's summer at the moment. So I think the pitch has deteriorated pretty fast in there. Delhi hasn't had a game from quite some time now. So don't expect it to be a slow and low wicket initially. Maybe as the tournament progresses, maybe the fourth or fifth game they might get slower. But initially, I think it should be a much better pitch than what Chennai is. But today, I think there's one thing which Rohit Sharma missed. He again went up for the matchups which generally I see Virat Kohli doing. Getting a left-arm spinner against two right-hand batsmen. Why wouldn't you bowl a Jayant Yadav when he had a good opening in the previous game? When Deepak Huda can bowl against Rohit Sharma and control for 5 overs, why do you think Jayant Yadav can't control against Mayank and Rahul for that matter? So Jayant Yadav should have started. Krunal Pandya has been doing well in the middle overs. He should have been kept for that. And anyways, by then the ball would have been scuffed up a bit and he would have got a bit more purchase from the wicket. So he should have started with Jayant. I think there's where one more trick Rohit Sharma missed.
And one more thing which I think he missed was he bowled Rahul Chahar too early. I think he should have kept a few overs of Rahul Chahar for later because they knew that if he was going to bowl out early, they could just play him out and attack the other bowlers. That's exactly what they did. Because if you see his fourth over was completed by his over was completed by around 11th over. I think he missed a trick there as well. Rohit Sharma doesn't do this kind of captaincy usually. He keeps his best bowlers to the end. So that was one thing he missed.
Different opinion on that. That is because probably he wanted to get the wickets. That's the reason he bowled his best bowler out. But had he bowled Jayant in the power play, he would have had Krunal Pandya to also mix in the middle overs. And then Rahul Chahar could have been held back. But since Krunal Pandya had got hit for a few, there's no other option. So he had to bowl out Chahar and try and get some wickets out there. I think that's where the trick a bit missed out.
Yeah, there's a tongue-in-cheek comment. Rohit didn't want Huda to face Krunal, hence he bowled him early, which I quite like. Just a word on Jayant Yadav. Brilliant, test match 100 he scored in Mumbai back in the day. He's, very good with the bat, and every time Mumbai get him on, he does a job for them. He's very underrated, I think, and given an opportunity, I think he might do a job for Mumbai. Maybe look over Krunal Pandya in times to come. Akash?
He should be. I mean, he's keeping it very simple. Just keep bowling at the same places. Try and get some purchase of the wicket. Keep it simple. Don't try anything silly. The pace is also almost very good at which he bowls at. So I think compared to what Krunal Pandya is doing at the moment, I think what gives Krunal a slightly better edge than Jayant is probably his fielding and also his hitting ability. So I think that's where Krunal is slightly nudging Jayant Yadav. Otherwise, in terms of bowling at the moment, Jayant is at par to Krunal, if I'm not wrong.
KL Rahul, by the way, Vishak is man of the match. I'm just going to quickly read out what he said. We don't want to get too ahead of yourselves. Slowly, we are coming together as a team. The guys we have backed are slowly coming through. Bishnoi came back today, and the way he bowled was brilliant. We had heard that there was a lot of dew here. I felt like that could play a part. Coming to Bishnoi, we've been discussing where has he been? Why has he not been played? And straight away, he's made a difference, Vishak.
Straight away he's made an impact. This is why we all were calling out for his inclusion. And even if you had one match, they dropped Murugan Ashwin and got a different bowler instead of him. I think it was Jalat Saxena, I guess. They had got Jalat Saxena for a game. And it was like Bishnoi was the third choice spinner, not the premier spinner. We were pretty surprised with that. So he should have been their first choice spinner after picking up 16 wickets in the last season. So that was a no-brainer selection, but that's where they went wrong. But finally, they have got it right. At least they have a good attacking spinner who can give those 4 overs. If you look at the previous games, they hardly had only 2 bowlers because Murugan Ashwin was going for a lot of runs. It was only Mohammad Shami and Ashdeep Singh who were actually controlling things. Even if one of these had a bad day, it was gone. So today, I think Mumbai missed a trick anyways by not attacking the fifth bowling option. But again, that spinner option was an attacking one today. And that kind of pegged back Mumbai Indians.
Lots of comments coming around Bishnoi. Ajay pointing out Kumble being himself a leg spinner and very similar to, flattish sort of a leg spinner, and not getting picked. Syed also highlighting that if everyone else can see why was Bishnoi not picked, and considering how well he bowled previous edition, 15 wickets odd, just really surprising that he wasn't picked, Akash.
Yeah, there has to be some kind of a valid reason, either his fitness or something which we do not know. Probably the internal camp would know, but it was really baffling to see Bishnoi not being part of the 11 right from the first game. He's the kind of bowler who gives you control in the middle overs, who can pick up wickets at will. And compared to Murugan Ashwin, he's got that variety as well. So I don't see a reason why Bishnoi wasn't picked. And we, as we discussed regularly, we wanted to see him perhaps every game, and somehow it took them 4 games to understand that probably he's the right fit into the 11.
Punjab Kings and Mumbai both at par now. Both have won 2 games, but if come to think of it, you would think that Punjab is maybe a more struggling team than Mumbai. Just looking forward to their chances for playoffs. How the teams are looking for the playoff spot, Vishak?
I think it's too early to talk about we are still not halfway into the tournament as well. I wouldn't even say that any team has like there are some teams which are doing well, like RCB and CSK. There are teams which are still in the middle table. So it is too early to talk about at the moment, because at any point of the tournament you can lose steam and you can get out of the tournament. Like if you see one of the seasons where Punjab had won 5 games in the start and they still missed out on the playoff spot, because in the second half they just won out of 7 games and they lost a place out of playoffs. So it's too early to talk about all this in the playoff spots and all. It's just about teams have to concentrate on playing good cricket and carry on the momentum.
Absolutely, I
So
agree.
and one more thing is, like, as somebody has mentioned, like, we shouldn't write off Mumbai, because this was one pitch where they were supposed to struggle, and they could. It would have been good if they had gone out of this with 3 wins out of 5. Now they're going with 2 wins out of 5. No one expected them to win 5 out of 5 on this pitch.
Yeah.
So, like, they would take these 2 wins and try to just maximize it on the other grounds.
Yeah, quite a few comments coming around Ravi Bishnoi. As soon as we mentioned his name, comments are flooding around Ravi Bishnoi, why he wasn't picked and whatnot. It could have been slightly different had he played earlier. One thing I wanted to touch upon, Akash, is, as Syed has pointed out, Mumbai really disappointed with this leg of the tournament moving to Delhi. Compare this to, say, a Chennai. They would be absolutely pleased the way they played in Mumbai.
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at both the teams, Chennai's lineup isn't suited for the Mumbai conditions, and Mumbai's lineup isn't suited for the Chennai conditions. But still, Chennai are faring much better than the expectations. And Mumbai, although 2 victories is not great, they would have expected at least to win 3 matches out of the 5. And considering they're moving to Delhi, again, they would like to win at least 2 to 3 games in there, and then finish off on a high in the last 5 games in Bangalore and Kolkata. But moving out of Chennai, they would have expected at least to win this game at least, with Punjab being slightly weaker than the other oppositions. So one more victory would have done good for them.
A word on Mohammad Shami, Vishak. He bowled well today.
Yeah, he bowled well, but I was pretty surprised that he is actually a swing bowler, primary swing bowler. I was pretty surprised that he didn't start off. But somehow I think the gamble which KL Rahul took paid off. But I was still surprised he did not bowl, because he's very good with the new ball and he can swing the ball and nip. I was expecting him to nip off Rohit Sharma early. This did not happen. And yeah, I think Rohit Sharma got settled, and later it became a little easy for him to play out. And yeah, but he was pretty impressive today. In the middle overs, he controlled things again, and in the death also, where he goes for a lot of runs recently. I think that is where Mumbai has also been struggling. So his bowling little bit helped there, and he got some wickets, and some 3 wickets in the end. Like Mumbai batsman going after him, and he got a couple of wickets there.
Another thing, Akash, I wanted to point out was obviously Mumbai went ahead again with only 3 overseas. Seems to be a trend this tournament. 17th match is the third time that's happened. Anything they could have done differently in terms of getting an overseas player from the contingent?
See, considering the conditions, the only option they had was had they had an overseas spinner with them, which is what they're lacking at the moment. The spin department was weak for them, and we knew it right from the beginning of the tournament. Except for Rahul Chahar, there was nobody else who could actually rip the ball from the pitch and get wickets at will. So, an overseas spinner, had they got in the auction, perhaps then that could have been a change that they were looking for. But they lacked that option. So, obviously, their Indian contingent is faring much better than what the foreign contingent is available for them. So that was one spot which they would have liked to fill in the auction, which unfortunately they couldn't. Otherwise, I think what they're doing at the moment is fine. Three overseas is what is perfect for them.
Right. On popular demand, everyone's been waiting for what's happening on the points table. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. So, Royal challenges Bangalore sitting nicely on top. Chennai Super Kings number 2. Delhi Capitals number 3. Then you have a lot of teams fighting for that fourth spot. Mumbai and Punjab, obviously having played 5 games each, 1-2. And Sunrisers just below them, and KKR and Rajasthan finishing off the table. Vishak, do you see lots of people just fighting for that 3 and 4 spot now, considering how RCB is going and Chennai seems to be looking really good?
Yeah, two teams are leading the pack, and they're just leading from the rest of the teams. So it's like, but still, as I said, right, it's not like guaranteed for them as well. They can also lose steam in the tournament, and it's like nobody is guaranteed a top two spot right now. But they are ahead of the rest. But the rest of the teams are just trying to catch up with them. So it will be a pretty. And today, Mumbai's loss today, even though it was unexpected, has opened up the tournament a little bit in terms of the mid table. So it gives all the teams a good chance to actually fight and come back into the top four.
Looking ahead to tomorrow's game, Rajasthan Royals versus KKR. Akash, starting with you, how crucial an encounter this is for both teams?
Absolutely, sitting at the bottom. I mean, Kolkata is very surprisingly sitting at the bottom at the moment. So they definitely would like to move ahead as much as possible. Probably by the end of this weekend, we would see a much more closer and tighter points table than what it appears at the moment, except for Rajasthan Royals, which I don't think will have a great time even in the coming matches, especially with Archer now ruled out of the IPL completely and Stokes already out of the IPL. So it's going to be very tough for them to even try and compete with any of these teams. Everybody looks strong. Everybody's got at least some department, wherein they are challenging the oppositions. But Rajasthan Royals at the moment are flat. I mean, there's nothing in the bowling. Batting against Sanju Samson is very disappointing because with the kind of talent he has, he should have had at least 2 to 3 50s by now in this particular tournament, which he hasn't done. So even tomorrow against Kolkata Knight Riders, Kolkata will be very happily thinking that if they get Butler and Samson out, the game is in their kitty. It's as simple as that. So it's going to be tough for them. Expect Kolkata to roll over Rajasthan tomorrow.
Vishak, anything different Rajasthan Royals could do, at least for KKR, although they lost the game, but that was one of the most memorable games we'll probably have this tournament, losing 5 wickets in the power play, still coming back, giving a good run chase and losing by a few runs.
I don't think they can do any difference. As we spoke yesterday already, right? They have only 5 foreign players in their kitty now, and they can't change any of the batsmen. They have to, and the middle order is also like is filled with Indian batsmen who are inexperienced. So the lot of onus is on the Sanju Samson and Butler to carry on and get that good scores because you cannot depend on Dubey and these other people, Tewatia and other people to get those good scores in the middle order if these two fail. Because I'm not saying they're bad, but they're too inexperienced and it will be too much of pressure. Your top order has to do, they're top heavy right now and they have to do the bulk of the job. So KKR would just expect, as Akash mentioned, KKR would just believe if they pick up these two early, then it would be an easy match for them.
Another run fest, Akash, coming up. I'm sure all the batsmen would be licking their lips, considering how good the wicket is in Mumbai.
Yeah, I think if KKR bat first, then definitely it will be a run fest. If RR bat first, it depends completely on these two batsmen. If they score well, then Kolkata will have a chase on hand. Otherwise, I don't see a repeat of Dubey, Tewatia, and others pulling Rajasthan into a good position. So it all depends on how Butler and Samson fare tomorrow.
Yeah, if Butler and Samson play well, they can get to somewhere 200, or otherwise it will be again a 170, 180 kind of score, which I think KKR will easily score.
I must say, I much rather prefer the pitches in Mumbai, which is high scoring, entertaining. That's what I want for T20. These 120, 130s, I personally do not like it, Vishak.
Definitely, it's okay if there is an even contest between the bat and ball, but The pitches in Mumbai are highly skewed towards batsmen, and the pitches in Chennai are highly skewed towards bowlers. So neither of them make it interesting, kind of. But for T20, at least the pitches in that's what people want to see. A lot of sixes and fours, lot of runs. It's all about entertainment. So at least people would enjoy that. But I would actually kind of like to see an even contest between the bat and ball. That would make it more interesting. So that 160, 170 kind of scores, in between scores, could be match winning. That is what kind of games you want.
Yeah, and then teams get into overthinking how the pitch is going to play and then maybe develop their strategies rather than just trying to go out and see how much you can get. Lots of comments coming around. Andrew Russell, Pat Cummins, Sanju Samson Dew. Narayan will play. I'm sure he will play, Akash. He's definitely going to get another go.
He's definitely going to play. I mean, considering the conditions in Mumbai, his tricks will come into play. It's not going to spin much. So the variations, whichever he's got in the middle overs, he can try and tie up the batsman. So definitely Narayan is going to play. Now the question is where he's going to bat. I am sure they're done and dusted with the experiment of Narayan opening. So his batting abilities, I don't think are much going to be utilized in the coming games as well.
Okay. Right. This has been fantastic, guys. Before we go, and we all know it's quite a challenging situation in India, especially with COVID. So please be safe, wash your hands, sanitize your hands, and ensure that you do not step out unless you have to. Wear your mask, keep social distancing, and ensure you try and be safe as much as possible. Hopefully, the second wave will go away in the next few weeks, and we'll all come through this relatively unscathed. But yeah, it is challenging times. Keep yourself occupied, distracted, whatever you can do. And for all our viewers, again, if you do happen to like what we do, please try and support us by subscribing to our channel. Vishak, Akash, again, thank you very much. And we'll hope to have you back tomorrow for tomorrow's game review. Thanks very much.
Absolutely. Stay safe, guys.
Thanks. Stay safe, everyone.